No. Hang on 1 second, y'all, because I think I'm gonna have to restart my stream. So if you're online, okay, now it should be good. Okay, I always have a hard time with that Behance title. Still ironing out the what do you call it? Still ironing out my live streaming on the road workflow. But hopefully some of you guys from my newsletter list will be able to check in. And I thought I would brighten up my winter and make a little poster design. So it should be fun. And let me just load up my Behance really quick. If you're tuning in from my newsletter list, say hey. Hey Rhoda, hey David, super happy to see you guys. It is cold here in Missouri, so I'm gonna keep my little fingies warm. And I don't know if maybe not. Trying to keep, I'm like, it's so cold. Jerry, hey, super glad that you got the Celestial collection. Everybody's been having like a lot of fun with that. And oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I made that collection because I almost didn't because I was kind of over the jewel and gemstones, but being able to use those one-click styles and turn that into designs like really fast was like, it was a no-brainer. So I'm super happy. Glad that you like it. So yeah, I thought I was playing around with a new technique for my Instapressionist brushes, which I actually haven't revisited in a while. Hey Jetta. Oh, thank you so much. Well, I remember you were telling me like it was super gray and grim in Germany, and I have the same thing going on right now in Missouri. I'm visiting my family, and it's been really cold normally, but now it's been cold and gray, and that is super hard to get motivated. So I was like, I want some color. And yeah, so I thought I would have a little fun with this idea that I've been stewing about for a little while in my head, and playing with kind of a collage version of the Instapressionist technique. So real quick, most of you guys know the Instapressionist brushes, which if you're not familiar with it or you're kind of just tuning in, you can get a free sample of these brushes via Adobe Create, or actually it's Adobe Creative Cloud now. I collaborated with them a couple years ago when I created this technique, and it allows you to take a photo and via specially designed Photoshop brushes and the pattern stamp tool, you can use it to create an impressionist artwork from your photo. So that's a lot of fun. And let's just scroll through here. Hey Sydney, glad to see you here. So my muse was the mimosa, and it's flowering now. It's mimosa season in the south of France. Hold on 1 second. And so I'm like, I'm missing it. I'm missing France for sure. And right now the mimosa is in bloom, and it's this yellow, really beautiful, abundant sort of tree flower. And it's everywhere. So it's like, it's blooming like end of January to March, and it's just everywhere. It's like, oh my gosh, so gorgeous. So here's a little some things that I had pulled out about that, and it's really pretty, and it's got these little like dots, so it makes such a pretty motif. And there's actually like the inspiration for my poster design was La Route du Mimosa, which there's like a little series of 5 towns along the Riviera that are especially known for the blooming of the mimosa, and they have some forests. So actually like right next to Lesterel. Well, this is kind of on the route. So my muse for the center of this was a really pretty part of the coastline between Cannes and Théoule-sur-Mer, Mandelieu area, and it's called Lesterel. You can actually see it from Cannes. And so it's along the route by San Rafael, right around there. So yeah, so I wanted to kind of play with that contrast of that beautiful rocky cliffs that are next to the sea and with the mimosas on the side. So I'm going to show you how I do it. Oh, David, yeah, it's not the cocktail. And actually, yeah, it's mimosa is the what they call what they call a flower, but I think maybe it has a different name in English. Maybe it's like an acacia or something, but anyway, it's so pretty and it's so abundant. And even I actually pulled up something from my Google Photos. Oh la la, where is this? Hold on. They have like during so during Carnival, February is, you know, Carnival time. And during the Carnival, they have like a big carnival in Nice. It's very famous. And then and then they have this like Bataille de Fleurs, a flower battle. Hold on, let me see if I can pull back here. But they also use this flower in their festivals and stuff. And I had a really charming festival. Okay, so apparently my Google Photos just jumped, but hang tight really quick. I'm gonna see if I can find it. It's okay, here it is. So like they do this thing once a year. It's like a bataille fleurie, and hold on, you can see some of the mimosa that like the boats and stuff are laden with this mimosa because it's everywhere. So it's really fun. This is a village outside of Nice called Villefranche, and you can see the mimosa and it's part of the life, and everybody has mimosa on this time of year, so it's really cool. So that's a little history of the mimosa. So I wanted something bright to cheer me up, and so I thought I would use that as my muse. So now you guys are, and then one last thing really quick. If you want a sampler of these brushes, you can go here to the Adobe Creative Cloud website, and you can download a free sampler and see all the different ones that I've done. And you can see how you can use these brushes to recreate a photo and make it like your own and an impressionist artwork. And so you can, you know, have some of that fun. And yeah, it's really cool. And what's really cool about it is it's not just a filter, and you can really make those directional strokes and make the artwork your own. So super fun. Most of you guys that are on my newsletter and everything are really familiar with that, but we haven't kind of collectively done anything with that for a while now. So I thought I would do that. So we're going to peel back the layers. And so what I did here was, rather than starting with just one photo, I kind of made a collage of photos. So let's just bring my, let's bring my thing into, we're going to peel the back of the layers, and I'm going to show you the process. It's really easy. It's really accessible, and you don't need any special drawing ability, which is very key for me because I do not have any sort of exceptional drawing ability. So that is very good. So hang tight while I open all my stuff and see if okay, just gonna wait for my computer to, you know, I'm gonna save this, and I'm gonna save a copy of this so that I can like mess it up and I don't have to worry about that. So we're gonna get into it now. Hang on, this is like, we're rocking almost 100 layers, but the good thing is it's really easy. Let's here. Let me just quick save a copy. Mimosa copy. And I want to preserve that, the good one, so I can mess it up and have a little fun. All right, so hang tight. New Year. Mimosa copy. All right. So you're going to see how easy it is that I made this collage, and I actually put together I cut from different photos to kind of build this sort of fantasy landscape. And it's really fun. I think we could do like a lot of cool different things with this. So let me just shrink this one and let's look at this one here. Okay, so let's pull back the layers. Now I'm going to show you this is what my collage looked like. So what I did was I grabbed a bunch of different photos of Mimosa, of L'Estoril, this rocky formation here on the coast, and then I actually just used my lasso tool roughly. As you can see, I did not worry too much about the selection. And hang on one second. Okay. So, and I just put this photo together, and I knew that I wanted the center to be L'Estoril, and I wanted the Mimosa on the outside. So that was really key. And as you can see, it's like, I didn't even worry here. I was just kind of putting the basic shapes because I knew that I would go back over that Mimosa area with some artistic brushes, and it can kind of like smooth everything out. So I'm going to, and here's my I use a Adobe Bridge, and that's really good for seeing all my photos together and then just double clicking them, and I can load them into Photoshop. But even I had like some of my own like photos. I used a mix of photos from, from online, from Unsplash, from wherever. And let's just go here. So let me pull back these layers, and I'm just going to turn off everything and pull things back one by one. Okay, so this was the center of my thing, and this is a nice view. I liked this one because the color of the water was really pretty. Oh, Flavia, you're a David, a drinkable mimosa. Oh, that sounds nice. Yeah, at 33 Celsius. Okay, now I'm feeling that right now. I was really ready for winter, but now the reality of it is like, Okay, so what I did here actually was really quick. Was I have this layer, and I made I think I just selected the top and the bottom. And I actually use, I'm going to cover over this, but I use the Adobe Content Aware Fill. So I went to like Edit, Content Aware Fill. And and it wasn't perfect at all, but it was like good enough. So I clicked OK, because I know that I'm going to go over that with different cutout pieces for my collage. And let's see here. Okay, so that's that pretty much. And then that looked really ugly on the top right, so I just used my gradient tool and just kind of covered that up. So I just wanted to make sure that that was out of the way, because sometimes the content aware fill is really crazy. So I just grabbed my eyedropper, I grabbed color from up here, and then I grabbed my gradient tool, made a new layer, and I think I had the radial, or I don't know if I had the radial, but just covered it up like that. So that's the base of it. And then I just started cutting out from different photos some of the things, because I didn't want to make sure, like, it wasn't important that it was absolutely realistic. So I was like, I know that right here there's like a bunch of rocks and stuff from this view because I've stood on this view. So but I wanted to make sure that I had that big massif, that big piece of the rock there. So I just kept like adding pieces. And as you can see here, I just took them from different photos, so I just dropped them in, because I know that when I use my Impressionist technique, Instapressionist, that it's just going to kind of like blend all that together, and it's not going to matter as much. So yeah, it's really fun. And I think that this, it can lend itself to a lot of different things. And I think like putting together the photos, and then by using the Instapressionist method, it can just like blend it all together. So lots of fun, very freeing. Then let me check my comments. Hola, ¿cómo va esta? And I'll just open one of my photos to show you how like easy it was for me to cut these out. So I think here is where I got the massive. So let's just open this big piece of rock here. So what I did was I just grabbed my lasso tool and then I went super rough. Did not worry, 10 out of 10, did not worry if it was perfect. Because also this is going to be Impressionist, you know, so it's not like super perfect. And you can get away with a lot more. So I just went like this. And even with the Impressionist stuff, you can like, what do you call it? Even if once you paste it in there, you can like resize it even up, and it's very forgiving. So I've selected that, and I'm going to hit Command A, select, oh gosh, no. I'm going to hit Command X and cut that out. And then I'm going to go here to my copy, and I'll push paste, and I don't know if that's the same one, but I noticed that this was a little bit like desaturated compared to the rest of my photo. So what I did was I put a color overlay on it. So I just went, took my FX and I went color overlay, and I grabbed one of this like peachy sort of orange copper from the other rocks, and I click OK, and I think I put it on, I don't know, color or hue, and then played with the opacity. So that's how I made sure that it, you know, when it was desaturated and didn't match it a little bit, I used the other one to kind of bring it in line. And let's see here. Okay, so let's keep going. So you can see how I cut out those pieces and put them together. And, you know, you can do the same thing, but it's real easy. Lasso tool didn't really take that much time on it. So I just kept building up and filling in my landscape. Didn't worry too much, you know, just loved that because I knew that I would have the flowers on the side. So that was cool. One thing that I did want to do before I dropped in those layers of the mimosa is I wanted to create a little bit of depth of field or a little bit of darkness so that I could, that the mimosa would stand out. And actually, I think that I put that at the end because I noticed they felt all on the same pane. So we'll just leave that off for now, but we're going to come back to that. Okay, let's see here. So some of these, yeah, cut out super rough pieces of mimosa because that mimosa really hangs and it's got those heavy things. So I just wanted to put it like all over the sides of the poster. And even some of it doesn't exactly make sense because I cut out like even some different, you know, it's all different proportions. But I knew what I'm going to do in my head, so that's why I like didn't sweat the small stuff at all. So just cut out those from my thing. Lasso tool, they're all different colors. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing here. That was a little bit of the sketch, the sketch that I had made. And let's hear what's this. Okay, so this was kind of the base of it. Let me just see here. Yeah, it was like this. Okay, this is not exactly the same. Hold on. I added my own little, okay. Yeah, so this was, you know, okay. This was the base of the collage, and then I go, oh, those what do you call it, the mimosa on the side, it just really is all running together. So that's when I was like, okay, I need between the background layer, the foreground layer of the mimosas, I need some depth of field. So then I added this in, and I could probably add a little bit even more. So hang tight. So what I did was I just created a fill layer of black. And so I go like layer, new fill layer, solid color. Okay, I put black and I put the opacity blend to linear burn. And what did I do? 57, okay. So I took it down like that. and it's automatically got a layer mask on it that shows everything. So then what I did was I grabbed my gradient tool on the left and I grabbed my black because I want to mask out and then show the center of that. Let me just check my messages. Okay. So, oops. I want to make sure I get my, up here, the radial gradient. And I just pulled like this and brought out some of those in the center there. So good enough. We're feeling that. Oh, and hopefully my, anybody let me know if my streaming quality is okay, but I think it should be. I just noticed when I'm watching it myself, the streaming quality is not so good, but I think that's just because the network here is not the best. So this is our base. And now we are going to use this. And what I'll do is I'll merge all the layers. So I created a new layer. And actually, you don't even really need to merge all the layers. Forget that. So I'm just going to go to layer. This is going to be my pattern for my brushes. So the fun thing about this is that when we're using the Instapressionist technique is that like you really can't mess up. The photo serves as your guide. So I'm going to go over here on my left, grab my pattern stamp tool, and you can go to, I have a keyboard shortcut for patterns, but I don't think it's universal. So you go, you got your whole image here. You go edit, define pattern, Command M for me. And this is going to be Mimosa Collage. And now we're going to do the Instapressionist technique with my Instapressionist brushes. So hang on one second. What I'll do to make this a little bit more dramatic is I'm going to do a new fill layer. So we're going to build up the thing from nothing rather than just paint over it. So I'm going to go layer, new fill layer, solid color, and just make it white. All right, I'm going to save my work for a second. Okay, David, thank you so much. Everything is good there. I'm glad to hear it. Yay. Oh, Flavia, I'm super jealous of you down in the warmth now. Now I'm really getting over the winter. I've had enough. And also the fact that I'm like in the countryside. It's a small town and there's no like city center. So it's a little bit like depresso. I'm like, ooh. And and yeah, and there's and I'm visiting, so I don't have a car, and yeah, it's I'm a little bit over it right now. But okay, so now let's do the Instapressionist technique. This is super fun. So I'm gonna get the pattern stamp tool, and up in the pattern, I'm going to grab my Mimosa Collage, and that's gonna serve as the what my brush is going to spit out. And I'm going to make sure that Impressionist and aligned is checked. So Impressionist and aligned. And then we're going to go over to my Instapressionist brushes. Instapressionist here. And I'll get one of my fill brushes. File, okay. Save. And I am going to just start brushing, and I might take the brush size up. I'm quite zoomed out, but this is a pretty large document. I'm actually making my document in 8x10 size, so that's pretty good size. And as you can see, the photo is starting to come through, but now it's like looks impressionist, and I can just do some little, let's see here. Doesn't really matter. This is just the base one, so I'm not going to worry about the direction of my brush stroke or anything like that. But what's cool about this is that anybody can do this, and you don't need any special drawing ability. That is very key. So let's fill that in. Back to Miami, babe. Yeah, I will be going back to Miami later in the spring. I'm thinking of getting out of this. I want to get out of this country right now. So we will see where I go to next. I'm not exactly planned. So it's crazy. So a little bit of a digital nomad going on here. Okay, so let's just zoom in. As you can see, these are like Impressionist brush strokes. They're soft, and we're letting the brushes do all the work. And now the fun part comes in. So now we can go and choose our brushes and kind of, you know, go along with the flow of the pictures, use different brush strokes. And every time I'm doing, oh shoot, hold on. Every time I'm doing a new different brush, I just put it on top, a new layer, new layer, new layer, new layer, new layer, new layer, new layer. And it's just fun because if you don't like how something turns out, then you just make a new layer and go over it. So it's super, super fun. Okay, so let's see here. So I'm going for the aligned brushes, and I really should have a cheat sheet out here. So I'll work kind of zoomed in here. And I haven't used these for a while, so kind of remembering like how these brushes are. But it's cool because you can just play around and use different brushes in different areas to get different effects. So it's kind of, it's fun. This one I'm not loving. You know what I'm going to do? So I'm going to go into my library and get my little cheat sheet of my brushes because that's going to help me because it has been a hot minute. That's your brush charts. Here we go. This is going to help me find my brushes just a little faster. So we have aligned and artistic. And hold on. Let me rename this. Sometimes I notice if two of the, okay, there we go. Things in my library are named the same and I click on them, it seems like the one doesn't open. I'm not sure if that's just a bug or what. But I want the ones that look the most like, let's see here. Aligned 3 looks cool. Okay, aligned, let's see here. 3 and 4 are quite cool. So I'm gonna start with those. So let's just, okay. My area is empty. Pattern stamp tool. Aligned 3. I think I'll use this on some of the rocks. So yeah, this has kind of got a smooth sort of vibe. Like quite of a smoothing, so. And what I like about this is that, oh, that's nice. That's nice for these edges here of the, against the water, is that you can mix and match the brush strokes and follow, and they're directional. So you can just have quite a bit of fun with that. So, and so now you just have the fun of filling it in and playing around with the brush strokes, make a new layer, try a new brush, see what works. And the cool thing is that you really can't mess it up. So I've played a little with that brush. Let's go to aligned 4. And this one's like kind of quite little short stroke, so I might play with it on the edge of the water here. Hey Jessica, oh hey Patrick, oh you've got the Celestial Gold Mine, cool. I'm glad you're gonna have some fun with that. And oh, and one good thing about these brushes is that if you want it to be more detailed, like say you're making a brush stroke and it's looking like it's too smushy and you're not getting things defined, if you want it to be more defined, then you can just lower the size of your brush. So that's fun. And let's make a new layer. Let's try out some of these. No, that's too long. I don't want those. I want one that's kind of good for the shrubs. So this one's kind of good. Aligned 36 for all this shrubby kind of land. So this can be softer here. I like that. Like the green parts. Playing around with that. What's here? And here I'll zoom in on on the one I did on the left. Let's check it out. So I played a lot and just kind of, you know, messed around until I'm happy, but we'll do a few more layers and then I'll kind of cut through because I don't want to like spend a billion years on this, because this is a bit of I want you to kind of see more of the processes. But we're just going to play around just a little bit. This one, aligned 52. Let's see here. This one's quite sharp, actually. So you can, maybe some of this, I'll kind of just play around with that rocky area there, kind of bring back some of the details along the shore. That's kind of fun. But it's just really fun, and it can be like quite, it's just nice. It can be relaxing. You can just tinker with it till you're happy. You know, you don't have to worry about everything losing your composition or anything, because the photo that serves as the base of those brushes is just won't let you get too far off the mark, you know. So that's just kind of what you can keep doing. Just build, 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 build. So I'm going to kind of fast track through there. So I'm going to take what I did before and just kind of build up the layers. So this was my base layer. And this is kind of nice because I showed you how, you know, how it works in progress. And like I said, most of you guys know this technique, so I don't want to bore a lot of the newsletter people. So I'm just going to go like this, and you can see it transforming. So I'm using different brushes. I use like a nice one on the sides. Here, I brought back some of the rough in. There, I played around with another brush. I didn't like the other one. Added some detail. So every layer, just trying out a different brush, one on top of the other. Here was quite a jaggedy one. I'm sure I went over that. And then this is when we're getting into the artistic brushes. So this one is like, I can kind of spy this brush here. It's like, oh gosh, probably like Artistic 61 here. So let me just play with this. This one's got like some those nice brush strokes and those nice streaks. Hold on. So I'll go down here. So it's a bit rough. The artistic ones disperse the brush strokes more, so they're a little bit they're, like I said, they're a little bit more artistic, but hold on. Let me backtrack that just a little bit. Okay. So yeah, but they're fun to add nice touches. So I'm just rebuilding my layers, and I added some kind of long strokes here because I like that for the water. And then I added some artistic ones on the side with the Mimosa. And then here, I think here is where I got in with, let me just show you. Let me hide this. Hide that layer. I think here I got a really artistic. So this one, what's funny is like even with the Instapressionist technique, if you have a little leeway, like on the Mimosa side, so you know, it's very, there's just more creative leeway like that. What I did was I actually got the Romantic English Garden brush, because it didn't really matter that I dispersed it too much, the brush stroke. So I grabbed, I believe it was brush number 2, And let me see where I did it. So what I did, yeah, so I kind of played with that and bringing some of that nice texture from that brush, those, you know, the flower thing, and it really softened it up and made it nice. So that was cool to bring in that brush, even though it's not technically part of the Instapressionist collection. So here we go. So I'm just going to continue to show you my layers, and we're still using that Instapressionist brush technique. So here I was adding some more details back down into the edge of the water. And there this is a real smoothing brush, so I added those nice strokes around the water to like add that art, kind of little, you know, artistry there. And there on the top of the hills, I added some rough brush strokes. And then I went through with a detail brush and kind of defined them again because I wanted some of those sharp outlines. And then this, I actually used a brush from my crystal collection. So this, I just took my regular brush tool, and there's kind of a nice cloudy in the brush in the latest collection for the Celestial Goldmine. So Soft 7 is actually really nice. You could use it for clouds. So I'm going to back up here. So what I did was I think I put it in I sampled a light blue from here perhaps, and then took this brush and kind of played around with that. So just added a little bit of sky in, but you can use like a light pressure. And then I think I added another one, so just added some sky in there because it was a little bit, you know, plain. Just I wanted to add a little bit of depth. And here, so this is also another one of my tricks for this Instapressionist method. So kind of after you get the artwork to a place where you're happy with, you're like, okay, it's cool enough, whatever, is to add a little bit of like faux brush, like kind of faux brush strokes. So what I did, let's zoom in here, was I took one of my brushwork brushes. Yeah, it was a brushwork brush, which has nice texture in it, and I just like sampled a color here from my from my thing here, and I just added in some brush strokes. Did I need them? No, but it actually makes it look a little bit more like I could have done this, you know, like, so it just adds a touch that makes it feel more less computer generated, although it already doesn't feel very computer generated because you can control the brush strokes and mix and, you know, fiddle with them. But it's also just a little bit of like a cheat, I would say. So just adding those brush strokes in there, like even I added some here, is just like some artistic touches to make it look more like, you know, it's from scratch or something. Not that we're trying to deceive anybody, but, you know, we want to make it feel more realistic. So let's see what I did here. Oh, and same thing. So yeah, I just grabbed some, I put them at like a lower opacity, but I just added some brush strokes in there. And even, oh, what did I do? Oh, and I added some more brush strokes from the Romantic English Gardens like I just did. So I had this layer here, and as you can see, it's just kind of, you know, fiddling around a bit, adding my own brush strokes, makes it look more artistic, and then now it looks, you know, just a little bit more your own. So let me just backtrack. There we go. So I took that opacity down though a little bit. And now, all right, so now I'm going to work on the sides. So we've got the base of it. We're happy with that. But now you just need a little bit of like foreground, a little bit of You know, because this is a bit abstract. So I just want to bring something in. And so what I brought in was just some little more touches on the side here and a little brush that I made. And everything is brushes, so not a whole lot of drawing ability, but a little bit extra to just kind of make that pop, bring more of a motif in, and just to finish it up. So we've already done most of it, and now we're just going to do those little accents, but just those little dotty parts and adding a little bit extra will just really make it feel cooler and more intentional. So hang on one second. Let me just check my messages. Oh my gosh, I didn't check my restream chat. Just be, oh, thank you so much. Glad it looks good on YouTube. And I don't know who that is. Okay. So yeah, as you can see, this is all full of tips and tricks. And if I can avoid drawing anything, I will. Like, I don't know about y'all, but yeah, if I can avoid actually having to buckle down and like really draw things, I'm always looking to do it faster, easier. Even the dots, it's like I don't want to draw like 1 dot 1 dot 1 dot. Okay, yes, it's like very I don't know, maybe it's more like intentional, or oh, you know, I'm being more, I don't know what the word is, but for me, I'm like no, I want it fast, I want it fun, I want it easy. The Russian name is Veronica. Okay. Hey, Veronica. But I'm not sure what you're saying. Thanks, David. You're on it. You're on it today. Okay, let's see what we did here. So let's pull this one we're working on. Okay, my demo, Mimosa copy. Okay. So what did I do? I added some mimosas on the side. So now what I did here is make some Mimosa color palettes, and most of you guys know how to do this, but just in case anyone's tuning in, I am going to just quick show you. So let me just take one of my photos and I'm going to zoom in on here. And this is for my color blending Impressionist brushes. And this is how easy it is to make your own color palettes. And this is only for my color blending Impressionist brushes because the brushes are specially designed to disperse the colors. Because if you do this with just any classic brushes, you're just going to get those bands of color and it's not going to look nice. So, yeah, so all you do, this is like, I love it because it's, all of this is painting from photos. It's so fun and easy, and I'm just all about my shortcuts. So I'm making my Mimosa color palettes, and I could just use my color picker, but I'm not. I'm taking the fast way. So I'm just going to go through here, take my selection tool, and I'm going to Command M and click OK. I do not need to name these. So I got one that's got a good mix of light and dark. I want to get one that's like a little bit lighter, and it does not matter what size you select these at, so don't really worry about it. I might get one that's a little bit darker. I'll click OK. So now I'm making my Mimosa color palettes. Super easy, super cool, and I'm going to show you. So up here you can see all the different ones that I've made. So some of them have a little bit of green in it, some of them don't, some of them are brighter, So let me grab my pattern stamp tool. I'm going to grab one of my lovely palettes. Okay. And this is what I did. So now I am just filling up the sides, making it a little more voluminous. So I'm going to hide this layer. I'm going to mark it to show my original one. And yeah, I wanted more of the Mimosa and less of that green. So I'll make a new layer. And for this one, I think, yes, I had made some brushes, which I'll have these available for subscribers. So I had made just a little, like a soft brush like this. And to do that, what I did was, here's my scrap page here. I'm always making project-based brushes. So I had made some little Mimosa brush shapes, and I'm not sure exactly which one that I used, but they're just so cute. They're little soft balls So I just made a bunch of them, and was, because I was thinking I would want to make 1 or 2 brushes for this project. So that's what I did. And I just put the scatter and played with a few settings here to make this custom brush, added some texture, put some scattering on it. So now what I did was I just, let's see here, where did I put it? So I just filled in some of this area, and I wanted that soft mimosa sort of look. And it really gets that depth. It looks cool. Maybe I'll take my brush size down. That's a little bit big, but whatever. So we're just building up layers here. So that's cool. I'm just going to put my original one back there. But that's what that is. And again, I'll have that brush. And so then this one is for sure my Romantic English Garden. So I wanted to add in some like of the green to make sure that we had a contrast. So I took a color palette that had a little green in it, and I grabbed my Romantic English Garden 2, and I just added some, let's see here, let's get one with more green. Yeah, I think I used like a soft opacity, but I just added, and yeah, using my Wacom pen, I just put like a low opacity, and I just wanted some depth in there. So it's just building, and just added, I think, another color palette, but the same brush. And what do we got here? Yeah, this is just some more building. I grabbed a darker color palette. So I'm just, you know, adding some layers with that. And then here was a fun brush that I did. So let me mark this. So we're actually flying through this at a pretty good pace. I didn't want to drag this out because a lot of you guys are familiar with this technique. So yeah, hopefully we can keep it moving. Let's see here. Yeah, so I made this little brush. This is quite cool. I think it was based off of a brush. A lot of times I'll grab a brush that I have already and kind of tweak it and play with it. So let's see here. What color did I do? Yeah, I just got a classic color palette here. And yeah, just added in a little. I used a light kind of, using a light touch so that it's a little bit subtler, because this brush, if I push hard, it's stronger, the contrast between the colors. But if I push soft, then you've got that nice light, undo. Then you've got that nice light sort of thing. So it's building up those things, and I think it's cool for the mimosa effect. Okay, and what did I do here? Yeah, just added, I think the same thing, but just added a little bit lighter color and a bigger, increase the size. So I added those light yellow highlights. And, oh yeah, I put a little blue in the sky, and I'm going to show you why. So we're pretty good. Looks pretty good. Not going to stress over it being perfect. This is a demo, so we don't want to like be super boring here. Now, what did I do? Did I put my border on? Yes. So let's see our lines. 2 seconds. Oh gosh, I hid everything. That's why these layers are off. All right. This was me playing around the border. And I want to put my, so I'm not a big hand letter or anything, so, but sometimes when I'm doing something like this, if I just drop in text, okay, to a poster like this, it feels so disparate from the background that I don't really like it. So what I do is use text guides. So one of the things that I did was I picked out some text, and I'm actually really happy with this, and I use it as a guide, and I'll grab one of my Brushwork classic brushes and then just follow, you know, just trace it basically. But for me, it adds a lot and I like how it looks. So here's my trace text. And this is my text guides. I think this is a font called Graceful. And this one is a font by my friend Simon. And his username is It's Me Simon, and he makes really cool, funky fonts. And I love using his fonts sometimes. Let me cancel that. I think I have my font program off. So yeah, Simon Stratford from the UK. So one of his fonts, a font called Graceful, and I kind of liked that roughness because it for me it tied in with the mountains, and then the Mimosa I just wanted like really pretty and graceful. So those were my font guides. So I laid those in, and then that's also why I add that little bit of blue because I wanted it to be totally centered. So I had to cover up that a little bit. And one of the things that I did was create this border. So I felt like I was like, it's nice, but it needs something. So I added a border. So I'm just going to show you quick how I did that. And I took my pattern stamp tool. I took one of the Mimosa color palettes that I've created, and I actually used Artistic Autumn. This is one of my favorite Artistic Autumn brushes. I believe it's brush 13. And let me see. Yeah. Let me hide this a bit. So I just, holding my shift key down, just kind of made this border around the edge. I think this was the brush that I used. Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit rough. I might have grabbed another one, but... And it felt like it just added a little something nice. And yeah. So it's cool. I just felt like it framed, and I love the gold, yellow gold against that warm color and the blue and everything. So it's fun. It's not exactly perfect how I made it, but whatever. Good enough is my motto. And sometimes I really hate to like finish the details on things. I'm like, okay, in my head I know how it is. It's just like I don't want to like follow through with like everything, but that's why I like doing demos, because it's like I don't have to worry about it being perfect, but it's for me it's more about the ideas and stuff. So I love that. So then what I did was I wanted to overlap some of that border. So I added in, using that brush that I had just showed you, this brush here, and I will have it available as like a member download. I haven't named it or anything yet, but it's this brush. So using a Mimosa, I wanted to break that border because you don't want sometimes the border to be perfect. It's a bit boring. And then, okay, so then I wanted to make a little leaves. Hold on, these are my messing around. This was a little bit of my sketch, because I do sometimes sketch as little as possible. This is as close as it gets to drawing for me. So I've got my sketch, and I created these little, I use my brushwork brushes, which is my, kind of my only one color collection. They're just kind of my classics, and they've got nice texture in them. So I created the lines, and I don't want to be making like tons of, hold on one second. I'm like, I don't want to be drawing tons of leaves, so you know I have to make that into a brush. So I created this little leaf, what do you call it? A little leaf brush, because I want to save myself some time and I don't want to go doot. So I'm just going to quick show you how I did that. So this was the brush that I made. I made a few of them, and I just drew them in here using my brushwork brushes. And I forget which ones that I used exactly, but they all have a lot of nice texture. I used one that's a little bit more, no. Okay. So I knew that I just wanted these little leaf motifs, so I just made them like that, super easy. And I can quick show you how I turned this into a brush. So I took that, and let's see here. Where, oh, I think I didn't save my brush tip. So what I did was I'll hover over this, hit Command K. There we go, we've got our tip. Let's go to where we are here. So I've got my tip here. I'm gonna go to my brush settings, brush tip shape. And this will be at -90 because it started, we need it facing like forward direction. So I can play around with the spacing. And then for my shape dynamics, I usually put a little bit of size jitter because you don't want it to look too perfect. And for angle jitter, you want it, I left 0, I think, but I put direction. So you want it to follow the direction. I might have just a teeny bit, like 2 or 3% of angle jitter. And then I turned the size jitter on a little bit, but I put the control into fade. And so that way it fades as you draw. And let me just save this as a brush. Let's see our demo. And let's just give it a little shot here. Okay, I'm gonna deselect. I'm gonna make some space on my screen here. Let's hide these layers. Okay. So now I'm gonna take my new brush, take down the size, and then we've got a brush like that. So it's cool and it fades off. So it fades, I like the fade a lot because you can, sometimes if it's just pressure, it's a little bit hard to make it fade nicely. So when you put that fade on, it kind of does the work for you. And then I can make my brush shape, the spacing down a little bit. There we go. And then also, I think I turned on flip X jitter, so it flips it back and forth. So there we go. So now we've got our little brush, good enough. And then I'll hit save, good brush. So you can see it's like the ones that I had up here. Okay, so let me just find where I was. So these are the lines. And then, yeah, I just drew in the leaves. So I took, let's zoom in here. I think I should zoom in a little bit more sometimes. But I like seeing the whole composition. So yeah, what I did, I'm just gonna make a little demo here. So I just, did like that. Played around, drew the leaves. And I kind of knew I used those guides, so I wanted to I knew, I wanted to set up my composition first because, even though we're letting the brushes do a lot of the work, we don't want to ignore the fundamentals of design, good composition and all of that. So yeah, but that's just how to do it. So I think you guys get the idea. I'll put in the leaves that I had already done because they look a little bit better. And turn off my lines. Where's my sketch layer? I'm trying to find the all elusive sketch layer. There we go. Okay. So, yeah. And then I wanted to top it off because I was like, I need to cover up some of those leaves because you don't want them just totally out. So what I did was I had this other brush that I made, like a little dotty brush, and it's going to use the color blending pattern stamp technique. And I think it was this one. So this is a little bit, it's like normally I wouldn't release a brush like this because it's a little bit, I don't know, simplistic or something, but I wanted to have that sort of motif, something like this where you see some actual dots and it's a poster. And so that's what I did. And I wanted to give them a little bit of extra dimensionality is I used like a subtle drop shadow. So I used that brush and I just added some dots there. And then I did it again. And as you can see here, I just added some more of those dots, grabbing one of my lighter, I think, styles. And you can play around with it till it's how you like it. And is mine perfect? No, I could do things totally better, but for me it's more about giving different people the idea of some things to do, and just showing the process of it. I don't want to worry too much about making things perfect. Hey Claire, I'm so happy. I'm happy to have your message. And oh my gosh, it's funny because I don't feel especially talented, but one thing that I am is super curious. So and I think it's because I'm not naturally gifted like in drawing. So, but I do have, ideas and vision and everything. So tons of it is through experiment and play. And thankfully, because I was able to start, transitioning from freelance to creating resources, I had that time to and also made that time to just be able to play. And that has led to lots of my best sort of discoveries, like the Instapressionist. That was a little bit of a fluke. That was me playing around with my color blending Impressionist brushes. But I realized when I used this certain tip, or I had this brush, even though I didn't have the align checked, that whatever I used as a pattern still came through the brushes. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Yeah, it's just so much experimenting. So I would like to just say it was a mastermind, that I knew this potential, but to be 100% honest, it was just experimenting and stumbling on things. So yeah, totally totally, that's what it was. Thank you, Flavia. It's the truth anyway. So yeah, so we added those little dots on there, and we're feeling good. And then hold on one second. So what else did I do? Oola. We have a mouse fly here. Okay. So yeah, let me I turned off my text guides. So let's turn on the text. I had a subtle drop shadow to that text. And for both of the texts, I just used one of my basic brushwork brushes. You could just grab any brush from Photoshop, no big deal. And I did turned the smoothing on like 20%, 25%, because I do not have that steady of a hand. But I like at the top, I like the contrast between the smooth writing of the Mimosa at the bottom and then the rough at the top. So, we always try to find those design fundamentals, and I try not to do, too many fonts, contrast. This is a contrast of a rough font with a smooth font. You've got a sans serif with a script. So, just trying to always keep in those fundamentals. And then the last thing that I did was made this border, and that just really popped it for me. And I'm actually super happy, because I felt like I was like, something is missing. So yeah, so I took one of my little things here. I had made a little tip of inspired by the Mimosa, and I took this, I wanted a lighter yellow, and yeah, and so then I just put that border around the side, and I really felt that helped it compositionally, helped just kind of tie it in, made it pop. So we won't worry about it being perfect, but oops. That's one thing I hate, when I'm holding down the shift key to make sure that I have a straight line. And then even if you lift up your thing, it still connects that thing. So sometimes you have to touch and then restart it. So I have that yellow, and it really ties in with the motif of the Mimosa, which are little dots, and I duplicated that just to add a little bit extra. And so, oh, I think that's spam. Okay. yeah, so add just a little bit extra, and then there we go. So is it perfect? I could mess around with it, you know, some more. Of course, it's not perfect. I could play around with the brush strokes in the center, da da da. But the main thing is that is that there's no drawing ability necessary. Pretty much anybody can do this, and I think it looks cool. So I'm super happy with it. And what time is it? We're at 2:30. So it wasn't too long. Yay. I'm super happy that some of you guys got to hang out and see me do that. And what I'm going to do is I think I will flatten this and save it as a JPEG in case anybody wants to print it or whatever, or use it as a backdrop or something, you know, for um yeah, for something. Oh my God, Flavia, I'm so glad that you had that. I'm so glad that you enjoyed that reminder. Because yeah, we have like a lot of cool brushes at our disposal. We need to use them. And there's more that we can do with that. I love that technique because we can just, it's like a great cheating technique, but it's not cheating. You know, it's like, it's not like you didn't say that you built it from scratch, but I love it. Oh my God, it's my favorite. Vintage travel poster. Thank you. Yeah, and actually, yeah, the route de Mimosa is an actual kind of route in the south of France. So that was definitely the inspo for that. And yeah, I want to make some travel posters, and I'm missing France, and I think I want to do some more things that are inspired like by places, like travel posters and everything. And Sydney, I'm so glad that you like the idea of the collage. And I think we can take this technique. This was for the travel poster and everything, but I think we can take this technique and even go more abstract and like play with this with like surface pattern design or making a pattern or something even funner, crazier, you know? So I think we can really have some really cool things with this. So I am going to be exploring this more. But anyway, I'm just going to bounce off then, and I'll have this available later as a download. And for my members, I'm going to have the brushes that I use, the little dotty brushes, just in case you want to have them. And I'm excited for everything upcoming, and I have more fun stuff. So I swear, I just want to like, I need to do more with the Celestial Gold Mine, but and that's, I have some ideas for that, but then I have like like some new fun things that are on the horizon. So thanks everybody for staying tuned. Yeah, all the different yellows, I think that's good. Thank you, Jetta. Love it. um yeah, I just wanted something bright. It's just so super dark and depresso right now here. So even it's like, even I didn't go on my walk for like 2 days. So I think after this, just going to get my butt outside because I need some fresh air. But anyway, all right. Well, I'm signing off, and thanks everybody for tuning in, and stay tuned. Make sure you follow me on Behance. Click the notifications so you go, so you know when I go live. And and I promise, I'm going to make a newsletter list for my friends. So that you can just get a little notification email when I go live, because I don't want to be bothering my whole newsletter list. So yeah, that'll be fun. All right, everybody, have a great Thursday, and I will see you probably tomorrow.